So it occurred to me that not everyone is going to watch episode 1 of this series, and as such, not everyone will understand what we're doing here. So hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Self-Sustained Challenge with me, Sepo, where I aim to take Molotov here from level 1 to 70 while following the following rules. Number 1. Gear from quests cannot be used, only sold. Rule number 2. All gear we use must come from fallen enemies or be crafted by ourselves. Rule number 3. The dungeon finder is not allowed to be used, with the exception of only once to finish Exile's Reach. Rule number 4. Gear from dungeon bosses is allowed, but you will have to get a group together and enter the dungeon the old school way, or solo it. And finally, rule number 5. Gear from vendors are allowed, with the exception of the one selling gear from Exile's Reach. And with that out of the way, we start off where we last left off, at the Grove of Aviana, and talking to the locals, we quickly discover that we are at the front lines of the elemental incursion. Turning in the fires of Mount Hyjal to Lena, she sends us into the flames to slay 10 raging firestorms as well as 6 Twilight Inferno Lords. We then talk to Mayloon, who's a dryad. She wants us to head into the flames and rescue 10 of the local bunnies and squirrels. We also speak to Matoclaw, who has a special request for us. You see, a satyr named Blackhorn is bound by a nearby tower, and she thinks he might be able to help us. That is, as long as we don't free him. So off we go to convince Blackhorn to aid us in our fight against the Twilight's Hammer. Convincing him only requires appealing to his sense of self-preservation, and he sends us off to collect some seeds from the corrupted flowers blooming around his prison. Seeds in hand, we create a potion that can wake and enslave the dead. We will use this concoction to learn the true name of the fire elemental the Inferno Lords are channeling to burn down the forest. So into the flames we go.
We can make an impact, grab it then take it.
Raising one of the Inferno Lords, we learn that the elemental they are channeling is so powerful that no one amongst them know his full true name. It was split into 3 pieces and divided amongst the Inferno Lords, which means we just have to assemble the name. Doing so isn't terribly difficult, and we soon know the name of our enemy. We then return to Lena, informing her of our victories, as well as delivering the critters into Mayloon's care. She then asks us once again to brave the Inferno to rescue 3 fawns. It's luckily not much of a hassle, and we soon have 3 fawns in tow to Mayloon. We then return to Blackhorn with the true name of our elemental foe. He sends us back into the Inferno armed with the ritual to summon Vol Mbar into this world so we can slay him. We clear out a little area for the fight, just so we won't have to contend with Vol Mbar as well as the normal mobs roaming the Inferno. That said, he wasn't much of a fight compared to Zephyria, and we soon have his black heart in our possession. On my way back, I noticed, however, that all the trees around the grove are shaped like women. Neat! Anywho, we return to Blackhorn, and upon finishing the quest, this happens.
Ashes from the plain below, scattered by the hand of foe. Gods of terror, quake and thunder, tear these mortal bonds asunder! Thank you, mortal. Your heroism in the Inferno has made my escape possible. As a reward, I will allow you to live. But your time will come soon enough. Yes, mortal. Soon enough.
Seems we have successfully failed in our quest and set Blackhorn free. Meadowclaw is not too upset about this though, as she suspects that Blackhorn has been planning this ever since the forest fire started. We are then sent to Whistling Grove, where I reach level 44 and take Tome of Antonidas. We then speak with Keeper Taldros, who wants us to help the bear cubs who have gotten stuck in the trees here. Also, this happens.
Oh god, help! This thing is out of control! Okay. No! Not again! Help! Please! I can't get off!
Regardless of me getting stuck on a trampoline, we get the bear cubs down from the trees. We are then sent further down the slopes to meet with Hamul Rune Totem, but not before slaying 8 Charbringers on our way to him. Meeting up with the Archdruid, he wants us to collect 10 seedlings from the ashes, so that Hyjal may regrow once this is all over. He also tasks us to collect 4 heaps of Corehound entrails for use for something later. His assistant then asks us to deal with 10 lava searchers, as the elementals are employing a scorched earth tactic quite literally. A few of the Corehounds don't seem to have entrails, however, so that part of the task takes a bit longer than expected. But we eventually finish up this batch of quests and return to Hamul. Hamul reveals the purpose of the entrails to be bait, as we need to get a piece of Nemesis' shell, Nemesis being the usurper turtle god summoned by the Twilight's hammer. Rainy also asks us to go and activate something called a flame ward, so we go and do that first, clearing out the area, then activating the ward and defending it. Once that is done, we go and place the bait, and then grab a piece of Nemesis' shell. This puts us into combat with a very angry volcano turtle, which I really do not wish to be in, so I turn invisible and return to Hamul and Reyna, hitting level 45 and picking Flame Patch so as to begin working our way down to Conflagration. Shell in hand, Hamul then sends us to speak to Tortolla, the true turtle god, who is being held bound at a nearby lake. Speaking to Tortolla, he tasks us with freeing him from his bonds and saving his children, who are being corrupted in the lake below. We first free his children from the corruptors, then set about freeing Tortolla himself. With Tortolla on our side, we return to Hamul, and Ysera appears once more to tell us what a great job we're doing. We now have to seek out Nordu the Ancient. Sadly, as all ancients, he is a big sentient tree, and as such has been burned alive by the elementals, and is too far gone to save. He nonetheless sends us out to take care of his killers, 5 fiery tormentors to be exact, which we dispatch with ease. Having done Nordu a final kindness, he gives us the heart of the forest he was protecting and sends us back to the Grove of Athena. Whereupon finishing the quest, this happens.
Who are you, mortal, to bear such a bird protector of the animals, slayer of dragons, champion of the ancients? My dearest old friend, Nordu, has bestowed to you a great gift, the gift of life. Now I entrust you with an even greater responsibility. By your hand, this mountain will bloom again. It is yours to protect and defend. See that it thrives. Drive out those who would do it harm. Do this in my name. There will be no second chances.
Now, this would probably have been a good place to stop for today, but this is my channel and my favorite part of the Hyjal questline, so we pick up Tortolla's revenge and head down the now healing slopes of Mount Hyjal, passing all the Firelands daily quest areas on our way before meeting up with Tortolla. He tasks us with killing an ogre commander and retrieve a glyph needed to enter this Firelands portion of the questline. There's also a wounded soldier here who asks us to gather 8 of his wounded comrades and kill 10 of the enemy forces in this area. We hit level 46 doing so, taking the quick-witted talent before also taking down Blazewing again for a nice helping of XP, as well as finding a chest containing the aptly named Ring of Cursed Fate. For though the ring has higher item level than any of my rings, it's also a strength and dodge ring. Having done all that, we come upon the commander in charge of the Hyjal forces here. Turns out that he and his men was the initial front line and got overrun, then held out long enough for us to push the Twilight's hammer all the way back down here, placing him and his men back at the front line. He then tasks us to kill 4 more of the ogres we have already slain several of. His quartermaster also tasks us to recover 15 arrows, so I quickly collect the arrows and slay the ogres. Turning in those quests before finally returning to Tortolla with the glyph, pushing me to level 47, where I take the Incendiary Eruptions talent, continuing that path. Tortolla, like Aviana and Logos before him, can't travel through the Flame Gate himself, so he sends me to champion his cause. Once inside, one of Tortolla's followers tasks us with culling the place by slaying 10 molten tormentors, and 4 Shadow Flame Masters, as well as taking one of Tortolla's children to examine a Nemesis crystal. With that done, all that remains is to finish off Nemesis.
I love the chase and the hunt, and I set the pace when I'm running. I always take what I want and I always give it 100. Don't need a bank, no I'm funded. Play the game like it's not.
Yeah, so what happened here is quite simple, though I didn't quite get it until I looked back at my recordings. When I accepted the quest to kill Nemesis, the game for some reason removed the buff that I needed to use the item it gave me to survive the eruption. Dying means also losing my turtle companion though, so I can now get a new one which reapplies the buff, which means it's time for round 2!
Now wake up! It's time to look at the enemy. Look in the mirror if he is no friend to me. It's not working out, maybe it's the chemistry. It's time to break up so I can make a better me. Better believe in your mind, cause it's everything. You can mold, shape, find almost anything. All it takes is some time and some clarity to find your identity. It's mind over everything. And when I feel like this, I'm immortal. When I feel like this, I'm immortal. When I feel like this, I'm immortal. When I feel like this, I'm immortal.
With Nemesis defeated, we return to the follower of Tortolla, turning in the quest, then returning to Hyjal so that we can give the good news to Tortolla. He then sends us back to Ysera, who informs us that the time has come to take the fight to the Twilight's Hammer and their stronghold. But that will have to be next time. For with all that said, all I have left to say is thank you so much for watching. If you liked the video, leave a like. If you didn't, leave a dislike. If you got anything on your heart, leave it in the comments. And subscribe if you want to. I'm not your boss. And with that said, see ya!